I used to think that winning an argument meant I was smart. Now I realize it just meant I was loud. Everyone thinks smart people just know more facts, more figures, more answers. But what if I told you the real difference isn't what's in their brain, but the operating system it runs on? You've heard the cliché advice, think before you speak, don't sweat the small stuff. It sounds good, but it's useless without a manual. How do you actually do it? In this video, we're not just listing 5 habits. We're breaking down the mental models and giving you the exact techniques used by Stoic philosophers, world-class CEOs, and even Navy SEALs to master their own minds. This isn't about IQ. This is about intelligence in action. Let's start with the one situation where most intelligence goes to die: a disagreement. For most people, when someone challenges their view, a switch flips. It's no longer a conversation. It becomes a battle of egos. Their brain stops listening and starts reloading ammunition. Their mission is no longer to understand, but to win, to prove the other person is an idiot. But truly intelligent people do something completely different. They don't fight to be right. They listen to get it right. This is our first principle. They practice intellectual humility. This idea is ancient. It goes back over 2,000 years to the philosopher Socrates, whose wisdom was famously summed up as, "I know that I know nothing." He didn't see questions as attacks, but as tools for discovery. Fast forward to today, and you have billionaire investor Ray Dalio. Imagine this. You're a billionaire. A 25-year-old analyst just told you your multi-million-dollar idea is flawed. Your animal brain is screaming, "Crush him!" Ray Dalio built a system to force himself to take a breath and say, "Prove me wrong. Show me what you see." The technique isn't about memorizing lines. It's about changing your mission from proving to improving. The next time you're in a debate, resist the urge to declare your position. Instead, shift your goal to understanding theirs. Ask questions like, "What might I be missing here?" You instantly transform a battle into a collaboration. But being open to ideas is useless if your brain is constantly stuck on the wrong problem. And there's a simple 5-step technique from the auto industry that fixes this instantly. Let's break it down. Principle number 2. They see the big picture, not just the pixels. Most people get trapped in what psychologists call tunnel vision. They see the one bad grade, not the poor study habits behind it. They see the symptom, not the disease. Smart thinkers zoom out. They practice systems thinking. They understand that any single event is just one piece of a much larger, interconnected puzzle. Imagine a problem is like an iceberg. Most people see the tiny bit of ice floating above the water and freak out. But a smart thinker knows that 90% of the iceberg is hidden beneath the surface. They don't attack the visible part. They ask, what's going on underneath that's causing this to be here? The technique is brilliantly simple. It's called the 5 whys method, pioneered by Toyota. Whatever the problem is, you ask why 5 times to get to the root cause. My car won't start. 1. Why? The battery is dead. 2. Why? The alternator isn't working. 3. Why? The alternator belt is broken. 4. Why? It was old and wasn't replaced. 5. Why? I haven't been following the car's recommended service schedule. The problem isn't the battery. The problem is the maintenance system. You can't fix what you can't see. Okay, 2 principles down. But let's be honest for a second. How many times have you known the right thing to do and still flown into a rage in traffic? Knowing isn't enough. The real secret is emotional control, and the ancient Stoics figured it out 2,000 years ago. Here's how. Principle number 3. They only worry about what they can change. Smart minds operate on a simple but profound rule, perfected by the ancient Stoic philosophers. It's called the Dichotomy of Control. Picture 2 circles. A small inner circle is your circle of control. Inside this circle are the only things you have direct power over: your thoughts, your actions, your choices. An enormous outer circle is your circle of concern. This includes everything else: the economy, other people's opinions, the outcome of an interview. The average person spends all their time mentally living in the circle of concern, feeling powerless and stressed. A smart person dedicates 100% of their energy to their circle of control. The mental exercise is a simple question you ask yourself whenever you feel anxious. Is this thing that's worrying me inside my circle of control? If the answer is no, you consciously acknowledge it and let it go. You can't control if you get the job, but you can control how well you prepare for the interview. This lets you focus your energy where it actually matters. But what about when the stress isn't from the outside, but from a tense conversation? How do you control the room without saying a word? Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't using silence just a manipulation tactic? It can be. But the difference between manipulation and wisdom is your intent. Are you pausing to confuse them, or are you pausing to truly understand them and formulate a better response? That's the key. Principle 4. They use silence as a tool. Most people are terrified of silence. In a conversation, a pause feels awkward, so they rush to fill it with meaningless chatter. Intelligent communicators understand that silence isn't empty space. It's a weapon. It's the strategic pause. When you pause before you speak, two incredible things happen. First, it makes the listener lean in. It signals that what you're about to say is thoughtful and important. Second, it gives you a moment to actually think. So try this simple exercise, the 3-second rule. The next time someone asks you a significant question, just wait. Before you even begin to answer, count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. You'll be amazed at how much more powerful and composed you sound. This is about controlling your output, but the ultimate level of intelligence, the final principle that ties all the others together, is about controlling your internal reaction. And that brings us to the most important principle of all. Principle 5. They master the gap between stimulus and response. This might be the single most life-changing mental model you ever learn. For most people, life is a series of automatic, unconscious reactions: stimulus, response. The driver cuts you off, instant anger. Your boss criticizes you, instant defensiveness. It feels like there's no space between the event and your emotional reaction. But as the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl wrote, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That tiny gap, that microsecond of a pause, that is where all human intelligence lives. Reacting is animal, responding is human. So how do you widen that gap? You use a technique taught to Navy SEALs to stay calm in the middle of a firefight. It's called box breathing. It's simple. You breathe in for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You breathe out for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. That's it. In, hold, out, hold. When you feel that hot rush of anger or panic, just one cycle is enough to widen that gap and give you the space to choose a smart response instead of a dumb reaction. So you see, being smart isn't about having a brain full of facts. It's about having a toolbox of mental models. It's about cultivating intellectual humility, using systems thinking, understanding the dichotomy of control, mastering the strategic pause, and living in the gap between stimulus and response. You don't need a high IQ to use these. You just need intention. And that's why I want you to do this right now, to make this real. Pick just one of these 5 principles, the one that resonated with you the most, and write it down in the comments below. For example, this week I'm practicing box breathing. This will be your public commitment to start training your mind. And while you're down there, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell, because now that you know how to think more clearly, in our next video, we're going to break down the 3 most common cognitive biases that secretly sabotage your decisions no matter how smart you are. Thank you for watching. Now go practice.